finals. And up here in the top right, our Terran player, he is
EG Allied Raid Call from America.
all right. And in the bottom left, our Zerg player from France, he is
EG Stefano Raid Call from Europe.
okay. So, again, I think that these two are a pretty good match for each other, really. You know, obviously Stefano has done a lot more and won a lot more. I would say at least a part of that is definitely his skill. I think during that time frame, he was definitely better than Alive in a lot of ways. But during the same time frame, Alive did win some. And, you know, he's still living in Korea. He's got a really great training environment now with the EGTL house. And he's playing some really strong StarCraft overall. By the way, that barracks right there, just to mention real quick, looks like it's going to be a Reaper opening, so he's put that on the edge. But also if there's a drone scout, which it doesn't look like Stefano's actually going to do this game, but if there's a drone scout and they pop in the main and go straight up, they may think that you're proxying, and the second they see that you may be proxying, it actually can change their build. They can do something such as not make one extra drone and make the pool first. And tiny little advantages like that help. And of course, as I said, with the Reaper opening and it being on the edge of the base, getting that Reaper out just a little bit quicker can help as well. So it's just a smart place to put that barracks. So the pool does go down. And I'll be interested to see how many Reapers does Alive go for. It should be 2. I guess we could see a different number, but 2 Reapers is pretty standard for this. You know, you're going to be able to put on a reasonable amount of pressure. It takes a while for Zerg to be able to mine from the natural. They're going to need at least their queen there. It normally forces out at least 6 to 8 lings. And then you have a Hellion follow-up to it normally. And with that Hellion follow-up, you just have the Reapers join up. And it's a nice build. It really fits together quite well. So we should be seeing a command center reasonably soon from Alive. He started that second Reaper. He'll be banking up more minerals now as his mules are dropping and whatnot. And it looks like Stefano's actually going to go for a reasonably quick speed here. Notice the 6 lings and the 2 queens, as mentioned previously. And this is really, really cute. A lot of times the Scout SCV will start the bunker knowing it's never going to finish, but in this case, there is a chance. And ooh, a really nice last-second Spore going down. Of course, the Spore is cheaper than the Spine, so you can just throw it down to save a drone, and he's got to be careful. Oh, really well done once again. And he almost got that Reaper, too. That was really, really smooth control from Stefano. He stalled everything just enough with the drones, saved all the drones, got rid of the bunker, got rid of the SCV, almost killed the Reaper. That was basically as good of handling as you could have asked for from Stefano. So now the 2 Reapers are going to try to kill wherever they can, damage wherever they can. I don't expect to really see any kills. He might kill a couple lings, but that's about it. The queens shouldn't end up dying. That would be like a really big kill for Alive if he happened to get one of those. Yeah, a few lings should end up dying, though. He's trying to trap him in here. Doesn't look like it's going to be able to happen. Reapers are just too quick. I've had them in my base before, I know this. Oh, look at that. He actually ended up getting one of them. A little bit greedy there by Alive. And he ended up killing a total of 2 drones this game. So, I can't complain too much about that, to be honest. It seems reasonable to me. The second Reaper being in with the Hellions isn't so important that I wouldn't trade it for 2 drones, I think, in this portion of the game. So, a 3rd command center is going down for Alive. And, of course, that's pretty standard. We'll have to check the eBay timings. What would be kind of cool is if we saw Stefano kind of follow up what Sulky did. You know, as Speed was finishing, Sulky went very quickly into an all-in with Roach Baneling. Now, it doesn't look like we're going to see that here from Stefano. He actually stopped mining gas. So, it looks like he's going to go into like a much more standard, well, never mind. He's actually making 22 lings. Now, the 22 lings doesn't mean all in necessarily. This could be just to try to lift up the natural expand, something like that. And this exactly right here. If he can kill the first 2 Hellions, that gives a huge advantage to Zerg. It sets the Hellion production way back. Do you make more Hellions? Do you not? But it looks like good micro so far. Alive probably going to have to go home and repair those, though. You don't want 2 Hellions that red out on the map. They will end up dying to Speedlings. But now Stefano has enough Lings on the map to actually have some presence. It's not complete map dominance by Alive here. And Alive is throwing up that double eBay, as we were wondering a little bit before. And, almost caught him right there. That was really, really close. This was actually really good micro by Stefano, but Alive just barely getting away by the skin of his teeth. Oh my god. That is probably the most frustrating thing for Stefano today so far. You know, he may have lost some Ling-Baneling battles, but that right there, like he had them in the surrounds and then barely didn't get them. So that is really fortuitous for Alive, because when you make that many Lings, you're committing yourself to killing the Hellions. So now he's made all those Lings. They've done nothing but keep the Hellions on this side and killed 1 Hellion. So I have to give an advantage to Alive right now in this game. Okay, so we have the Baneling Nest, couple Evolution Chambers coming up. The Evolution Chambers behind the E-Bays. So as this goes forward, there's going to be an upgrade advantage for Alive, but it's not a really significant one like what we were kind of looking at with Stefano's side against Alive before. Not the biggest deal. There's just going to be a little tiny window where he has that upgrade advantage, and in fact, he may not even realize that. I don't think it'll actually come into play this game at all. Now, a few Banelings on the way. He's trying to play a little bit carefully here. If he can get a surround on the Hellions or like slow the Hellions down, maybe he can run those into him. Of course, he has to be really careful about any incoming Marine attacks as well. That might be what he's thinking about. Still thinking about that last game and how many Marines came down. In which case, the Banelings are going to be very useful against that. But he actually hasn't done much scouting this game either. He actually has never scouted inside the main base beyond the 2 supply depots at the top of the ramp. So Stefano's still playing a little bit blind here, but there's nothing really out of the ordinary coming from Alive, so it's not really going to affect him this game. Now, we do have the layer coming up. Some nice harassment going on. Of course, if Stefano had made a more regular type of Lings and hadn't engaged on the other side of the map, he could be using Speedlings right there to help the Queens push those back and get the creep a bit further, but he ended up over-making the Lings, not getting them. So he's a little bit Ling short to deal with that right now. So he's going to go ahead and scout this base. Now, unfortunately for him, it's actually being saturated a little bit quicker than his third is. Never a good sign as Zerg. Alive, actually, a little mistake here by Alive. His armory is a bit late. He definitely could have had his 2-2 started by now, but as is, we could actually see Stefano at least catch up in the upgrades because of that later armory. And everything is basically stable right now. Everything's kind of normal in a normal type of spot. This one little timing that we're seeing coming out of Alive can be a bit scary because he has Medivacs and Baneling speed isn't done. So this is right before Mutas, right before Baneling speed. Really good time for him to be doing this. Now he's going to want to pick up the Marines. There you go, picks those right up. And actually, Stefano gets a surround on everything else on the ground, gets to kill it. So not really as effective as he was hoping for. Stefano had overmade a little bit on everything, so it worked out well for him. Now, a pretty quick second factory here from Alive. He's also started his 2-2 a little bit after the +2 carapace of Stefano, but a little bit before the +2 melee. So they're very even in that regard. That was a big Widowmine hit. Wow. Really do like the seemingly random Widowmine placements that we're seeing here. And Stefano's really cleaning up all these attacks very well. We do see a supply advantage, though, for Alive. You know, he's been really on top of his economy all game long. Now, the mutas are coming out, so these drops are going to become less and less effective, but this is one of our smaller maps that we're actually playing on. So while drops are good, very aggressive frontal attacks with a lot of Widow Mines actually can do a better job against Ling, Bane, Muta a lot of the time. The Mutas are more of a mobility thing. You run around the map with them, stop drops, things like that. But frontal pushes, they aren't quite as good at because they don't want to actually fight the whole army heads up. They want to fight pieces of the army that they outposition. So that could make it a bit harder on Stefano because he really likes to focus on Mutas. And in fact, right now, we do see this attack coming down in the 4th base. He may end up denying again here. And that's a bit painful. And at the same time, hitting this location, so he's luring the army down here to deal with this drop. And the drop can do a little bit of damage as well, so he kind of lures it down, makes sure there's no 4th base with the rest of his army. This is really good multitasking right now from Alive. All right, so does clean that out, but this is like we were seeing before in the Belshire game. Alive is keeping it 3 base versus 3 base. And the longer it's 3 base versus 3 base, the better it gets for Alive. And in fact, this is getting better and better for him because he's actually going to have his 2-2, and he has double factory with drilling claws. So these Widow Mines are going to be so hard to deal with for Stefano. And he's focused so much of his gas into Mutalisks that if he gets a couple lucky Widow Mines, that can actually end the game itself. Now this is some really nice micro from Stefano, picking those off in the front, but Alive wants to lure them back so his army can move forward. Now notice a big chunk, if you look at the minimap, a big chunk is moving back to deal with the drop, and down goes the army of Alive into that bottom right. And this is fantastic for Alive. He's crushing Stefano right now. Like, he just got a lot of kills and he's getting out of there, and he just canceled the 4th again. So here we are once again. Stefano has no 4th even morphing. It's still 3 base versus 3 base, a 30 supply lead for Alive. His upgrades, well, they're very similar, but he's got the drilling claws, so that's pretty big. So Stefano right now moving out. He needs to get stuff done with this army right now, and he realizes that. So here we go. He's going to go up and surround this army, and that's what he needs. If he can hit it with some good banelings, pretty good. He's actually brought the supply down to his level. That was a nice move from Stefano. That's the type of moves that he needs to be doing to actually come back. Go over there and overwhelm chunks of Alive's army to bring the army back into a more reasonable area. So Stefano right now is making nothing but units, as he should, because he doesn't have a 4th to actually saturate anyways. Oh, that was painful. That is a lot of hurt mutas right there. But once again, the 4th denied. The only thing is, Stefano actually needs to kill armies now. Like, the army of Alive is going to get out of control, and he's zoning really well. If you look at the minimap, the way that his army's moving back and forth, it's very hard for real counterattacks from Stefano to come out. So, from here, you know, Stefano for sure is behind. The supply difference is getting bigger and bigger in Alive's favor. Taking a look, it's 22 mutas out. That's the important unit right now for Stefano. As far as Alive goes, 6 medevacs, 9 mines. Those are like the important, more expensive, harder to build units. And then he also has the 75 Marines, which is quite nice, with that 3-3 on the way as well. So if this game stays kind of even on bases and 3-3 ends up finishing, that's going to be it for Stefano. Like, this is kind of a clock that's on the game. Stefano has to get things done. Alive is setting up way too well for a long game. Notice once again, he is dropping down there while Stefano's trying to hit him. Stefano will clean that up. I mean, it's not going to do too much damage, but he's forced Stefano back. A couple good Widow Mine hits, it looks like, probably happened right there. And Stefano's chances are truly dwindling here. He's trying to get around with these mutas and do whatever he can, but he's down to 16 at this moment. The army that's marching towards him, he actually just can't really stall, I would say. You know, he's still up 150 supply, but this is a lot of units. As long as he splits really well against these banelings, he should be fine. Actually, not the best splitting there in the front. It looks like he got caught off guard a little bit on creep, didn't expect quite that much. And he is doing some okay counterattack damage here. But in the meantime, Alive, as soon as this calms down, will end up taking his forward, whereas Stefano doesn't have anything morphing for a fourth base. So workers kill, they both kill a lot, yeah. But what's important is the important units that I was talking about before, the units that actually retain value through the game. We're down to 18 mutas. He was at over 20 before. We were only at 9 mines before. Now we're at 16. We're at 6 medvacs. Now we're at 9. So the army is getting better and better for Alive, whereas Stefano's is actually getting worse and worse. And with this roll and attack, he's cleaning up a lot of stuff still, which is really nice. But Alive is retaining the units that are most valuable. And here we are, 3-3 is finishing up. And we're still in a similar situation that we were in before. The fourth base is up, GG. He realizes that window is now gone, and he has no chance. So I guess that's it. Unfortunately, a little bit of underperforming, I would say, today from Stefano. He is the first to go out in this group, the first to go out in the tournament, and Alive does move forward. So that's the end of Stefano's run. That's 1 foreigner down, 2 remaining. And in fact, Alive will be going up to fight against TLO for that next spot on getting out of the group. Now, TLO is in a much better spot than Stefano to play against Alive, because he just got to see Alive play against Stefano. He saw him play against Sulky, but Sulky basically played perfectly against him. So how much do you really learn from that? Maybe builds that he's thinking about using, but they may have been builds custom tailored for Sulky because Sulky's so good. And you might say, okay, these are the builds I'm going to use against Sulky, and these are the builds I'm going to use against every other Zerg. So now TLO has some really good information from that Stefano match, and he may be able to plan out a little bit better, a winning strategy against Alive. I think if TLO scouts a little bit better than what Stefano was doing and really focuses on actually securing that fourth base, he's going to be in a better spot, because that's really where Alive picked Stefano off every single time there. So I think that we're going to go ahead and jump to a quick commercial, and then we'll be back with this last match today in Group A. So don't go away. We'll be back soon.